Hi pals, what you're about to hear is part one of the Kane Odyssey, which we originally did in October 2018. Such a long time ago, and it's the first part of the new TFTM Gold series that you'll get free to air on a Wednesday, and it's also going to be on the IFS on Patreon. If you want to hear all 7 episodes of the Kane Odyssey in one giant omnibus episode, you can get that right away if you sign up to the IFS at patreon.com/topflighttimemachine. Enjoy. Welcome to the first part of the Keane Odyssey, our 7-part deep dive into Roy Keane's book, The Second Half, which he wrote with Roddy Doyle in 2014. Before you listen to episode 1, there's a little bit of business with Roy that we spoke about in an earlier podcast regarding his nemesis, Professor Yaffle from Bagpuss. So we're going to include that now so that you know the full story before you get into the 7-part deep dive. Enjoy.
This is it.
It was quite a mundane season, I think, until early November when Roy Keane left Manchester United a couple of weeks after what can only be described as an explosive interview on MUTV.
Yeah.
In the wake of a 4-1 defeat at Middlesbrough.
And he got stuck into some of the younger lads.
He got stuck into
Who the fuck do you think you are? Yeah. Who the fuck do they think they're? They're fucking kiddies. They're fucking kiddies. They're driving around their fucking Lamborghinis. They think they fucking made it. They think they're fucking big shot. They think they can step up to me, Roy Keane, and have a shot at the title. But they fucking can't. I fucking tell them, fucking step up then. I'm fucking ready.
You see these belts? I earned these belts. I won these belts. You want these belts? Come on then.
Roy Keane's fucking waiting and ready. Here you go. Let me introduce you to my 2 friends here, Laurel and fucking Hardy.
I actually said about Rio Ferdinand, just because you're paid £120,000 a week and you play well for 20 minutes against Tottenham, you think you're a superstar.
You're not, you're a cunt. Take your fucking drug test, will you?
Alan Smith, John O'Shea, Darren Fletcher, Kieran Richardson.
There are fucking cunts.
Little laddies don't even belong in fucking Leeds.
They're fucking babies. You send them off to that fucking prick David O'Leary. In his fucking Magic Kingdom.
Get a lot of serum into them.
And as for you, Fergie, you fucking idiot with your fucking racehorses. As he started getting stuck into that as well, didn't he?
Did he?
Oh, yeah, he turned on Fergie, whose big problem was with Carlos Queiroz. They'd had a falling out over a villa in Portugal.
Keane had?
Yeah.
Really?
They went on a pre-season, training camp in Portugal, and Queiroz had sorted it out.
Yeah.
I always find these things hilarious because I sort of think a club like Manchester United is like an international conglomerate.
It's an industry, isn't it?
It's huge, right?
Yeah.
And yet then you read these books and the way in which they do things is so small time. So they've gone, we need a pre-season training camp somewhere. Yeah. And Carlos Queiroz has literally gone to fucking Ferguson. Because Ferguson loved Queiroz. I mean, he fucking loved him. If you read any of Ferguson's books, he was his one. Because he took him back. He fucked off to Real Madrid, failed, and Fergie took him straight back again. Yeah. Like, he just walked back into Old Trafford, which Keane was unhappy about as well, by the way. Loyalty! That's it. Loyalty! You got some fucking front talking to me about loyalty. You're after out the fucking door to the Bernabeu Stadium. At the first fucking chance you got, you cunt. You come strolling back in here like you own the place. With your eyes, your greedy Portuguese eyes on my fucking belts. Right? And he's gone. And so Queiroz has gone, so Alex, I have a nice place in Portugal. I know a man. It's nice food. Now a little bit of just simple grilled fish, a little bit of salad.
Let me tell you this. This is top secret. He has had the toilets reconstructed so as you can flush the toilet paper down the hole.
Not in all the villas.
You do not need to put it in the bin.
But the villas, not all villas, but the luxury VIP I get for you and me, Sir Alex. We flush the toilet.
Special dispensation.
No shitty paper for you.
None of that. What you say?
I get it, but Carlos, it sounds top notch. If you're happy, I'm happy, Carlos.
If it's good enough for you, Carlos, that's good enough for me.
You're a great man, Carlos. You know that. Because you not only know you're fit, but you're a handsome man and you smell gorgeous. Don't listen to what Roy and the lads say behind your back.
You're my go-to man for international accommodation.
So he's booked all these villas, and Roy Keane's turned up, and they've said you can bring your family. So Roy Keane's turned up with Mrs. Keane and the wee Keanes.
Yeah.
And he says, I've taken one look at this fucking villa. And the fucking size of it was a joke. I'm Roy fucking Keane. I'm the heavyweight champion of the world. And you think I'm going to fucking stay in this shithole? Fine. I didn't want to cause a fuss. So I moved out and just booked somewhere else up the road.
To tell you what it reminded me of? It reminded me of the fucking workshop in Bagpuss. You couldn't even fit a little rag doll in there. You couldn't fit a rag doll.
I can't.
A wooden woodpecker.
I thought I fucking saw. I kept expecting to see Professor fucking Yaffle stick his stupid fucking head out, start fucking lecturing me.
Coming down off the shelf like he used to.
Full of fucking shit.
I couldn't sleep.
Giving it the fucking big one. I kept thinking I could hear his fucking voice echoing round me fucking brain.
I'm waking up 3 in the morning going, it's fucking Yaffle. Where is he? Show yourself, you cunt.
I had to fucking get out of there. It wasn't good for my fucking brain. Anyway, that was the fucking source of all the trouble.
Yeah.
So he's turned on Quiros. Then Fergie's fucking stood up for Quiros. He's turned on Fergie's. You can shut up with your fucking horses. Your fucking horses and fucking rocket Gibraltar. You threw us all under the fucking boat.
And other thing as well, that thing about the speeding ticket. Trying to get over the speeding ticket by pretending you shit yourself.
It's a fucking disgrace.
Take the fucking points. Get yourself along to the speed awareness course. Like the rest of us. It's a leveller. What the fuck's wrong with you?
You sat there talking about shit in your pants. You're a knight of the realm. This is the club of fucking Bobby Charlton and Dennis Law. Of Gary fucking Birtles. Do you think Birtles would have shot his pants in the car? Or even fucking claimed it? No, they'd taken his fucking points.
Clayton Blackmore, he'd have took his points. I could sit here and name names all day. They'd all have took the points.
Dennis Irwin did shit his pants. And no one even knew about it. He fucking turned himself in at the police station and told them anyway.
The Greenhoff brothers, both of them wouldn't have shit their pants. Get a grip.
So that was him out, and he went to Celtic.
He did, yeah.
Here we go. 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 This is it.
This is Top Flight Time Machine. My name is Andy Dawson, and his name is
Sam Delaney.
And this is the first part of our spin-off podcast series where we look at an autobiography from a notorious footballer, and in this case it is none other than Roy Keane. It's his book that he brought out called The Second Half. It's his second autobiography. It's miles better than the first one, I think. And it was written in association with Roddy Doyle, the Irish writer and filmmaker and all that kind of thing, and playwright. This is part one. We might get as far as 3 parts with this, having looked at it. We're not sure. It might just be 2 parts, but this is part one. And we're going to begin at the beginning.
It's an amazing book. So we're literally, it's one of those.
We could go on for hours.
It's like a great album where it's all killer, no filler. You know, like Michael Jackson's Off the Wall. There is not a bad song. Each song is as good as the last. It's every track is 10 out of 10. That's like Roy Keane's second memoir. Every page has a nugget of gold on it.
Yeah.
Because Roy Keane is as we have said repeatedly on these podcasts, he is a complex and fascinating and eccentric man.
I would like to issue a little disclaimer at the beginning of this. I would like to say I am a huge fan of Roy Keane as a footballer and as a football manager for what he did at Sunderland and as a person. And this podcast comes from a place of love.
Stop shitting
and
yourself.
Respect and fear.
Listen, right, I know you think Roy Keane's going to come and get us.
I've said that now, I've said it.
He's not. And these are
Love you,
this
Roy.
is amazing promotion for a book that came out quite a few years ago.
2014,
you had a book that's out years ago. It very rarely you get publicity and you get people. As you know, you've done books, I've done books. At the time, if you're lucky, people will get in touch on Twitter around publication, go, I really liked your book. And that dries up for most books. And that might have even happened with this book. But we're saying this is a forgotten classic.
In 6 months' time...
Penguin should reissue it as a Penguin classic.
In 6 months' time, Roy Keane's going to get a royalty statement through the post for the book, and there'll be a spike in sales and income as a result of these podcasts.
Go, what the fuck's going on here?
What's this all about?
What's going on? I smell a fucking rat. Look into it for me.
He'll say that to his lawyer.
Yeah.
And then his lawyer will go, see, it seems there's a couple of podcasts. A pod what?
What's that all about?
What the fucking hell is a podcast? What, two fucking fellas, grown men, sat in a fucking studio.
Who lets them do this? Who lets them in?
Haven't they got anything fucking better to do with their time?
What radio station's this on?
What, and people fucking listen to this
What
shit?
wavelength? Tell me the wavelength so I can find it.
They're a couple of fucking babies by the sounds of them. They got kids. They got responsibilities. What the fuck are they doing?
What they doing? Are they not get proper jobs? What's this all about? Dear God.
I don't care if you sell my book. The book's fucking stupid anyway. I never wanted to write the fucking book. It's a waste of fucking time.
I've got 70 quid here from royalties. I don't know what to spend it on.
Yeah. I don't fucking need it. I don't fucking need that fucking poxy 70 quid. I've got my hole. And I got a nice cup of tea, and that's all I fucking need. Anyway.
It starts off where he's kicking off about the fallout from the first book, in which, of course, he talked about injuring Alfinger Haaland. And then he got there was disciplinary proceedings in a hearing, and he got fucking banned and
it's all
fined
about
and all
that. And the beginning of his career when he first came to Forest, it had a lot of cluffy stuff in it, and it also has the story of Sapen, which is not covered in this book.
No.
And we may go back and do that, because obviously those stories, I mean, Sapen alone is one of my favourite moments in human history. And so that's worth covering. But no, this has got a lot of other stuff. It's got the end of his playing days, his fallout with United, and then goes through his management and punditry career.
But it begins with him facing the disciplinary hearing on the back of the previous book, so it kind of segues in. And he says, I didn't anticipate the volume of the coverage. It was unbelievable. What we're going to do is, if we're doing actual direct quotes from the book, we're going to do them in our own voices so that we don't confuse everybody.
So, if we're saying it out loud in normal voices, that means these are Roy Keane's real words. If we lapse into bad Irish accents, that's just us imagining what else he might have said or thought.
He said, I didn't anticipate the volume of the coverage. It was unbelievable. It was like I'd killed somebody. It was a nightmare at the time. And he's talking about the Haaland scandal, and he keeps referring to killing and murder. And he goes to the Reebok Stadium in Bolton for the hearing with the FA. He says, trying to get into the Reebok that day, you'd have thought I was up for murder. So again, he's referring to himself as a killer or a murderer. But he hasn't done any murders. I don't think he wants to murder Alfinger Haaland. I don't think this is a veiled threat, do you think, to Alfinger Haaland, or...
What, like he is planning on murdering him?
One day,
somewhere
possibly,
along the line.
Possibly. And then he says that he talks about his lawyer. Actually, I wish I hadn't had a lawyer. I wish I'd just gone in and taken the punishment. No, I like this because I really like people who defend themselves in courts of law.
My dad did that a couple of years ago against the builder.
I've got a lot of time for anyone that does that.
My dad did that against the builder, but he just fucking rocked up without any planning, because in his head,
no notes or anything.
The thing is, I'm really clever and articulate, and I will run rings around these people.
These so-called lawyers.
Yeah, and the builders fucking turned up with like a brief and they're like, what the fuck? They're just looking at my dad, just going, what the fuck are you on about? Like, he's fucking done the old put his thumbs in his lapels to sort of look like Rumpole
Did he wear
the
a gown?
Bailey. At the end, and do you know what he said?
Did he get a gown from that costume shop you're always at?
Where
you got your Dick Turpin costume.
I lent him my Dick Turpin costume because I said it's close enough to a barrister's get up. Just stick this
the
on.
Gown.
Yeah, he even had the bandana around his nose and mouth, which didn't go down well with the judge, I can tell you. Made him look well fucking shifty, right? And but at the end, I said to him, "How did it go?" Because I'd been worried, but he wouldn't have it when I was saying, "Are you sure about this?"
What sort of dispute was it? Was it overpayment or work that had been done, or shoddy workmanship?
Basically, he hadn't paid the last chunk of money that he owed the builder, and I think his reasonings were, one, the work was shit, which was true,
right,
and he needed to spend the money on making it good again.
Yeah,
but there was also, he claimed that the builders had nicked his ladder. And my attitude was, well, even if they fucking have, what do you need a ladder for anyway? You never fucking use the ladder, right?
That's why you get the builders in.
Yeah, exactly. So but when I asked him after the court appearance, how did it go? Did you win? He goes, well, it was very interesting. He started talking around it, and I went, yeah, but did you win or lose? He goes, sort of both in a way.
He lost his
And
knee.
he just totally lost. But he said something about how the judge knew he was the moral victor.
Yeah,
or
did the judge
something
like wink
that.
at him or something?
The judge was sort of like, unfortunately, my hands are tied here by the fucking law. Stupid fucking law. But we all know that you are the real victim here and that you're a better human than everyone else in this room. I think that was how my dad interpreted
Did the
it.
judge give him some money for a new ladder?
No.
Didn't award him anything?
My dad, a pensioner, remains ladderless. And I'm, now is not time or place to do an appeal for some sort of crowdfunding.
Crowdfund, yeah.
But I will set a campaign like that up soon.
Is it, a telescopic ladder that reaches to like 20 foot? Or just some step ladders?
A 4-tread step ladder. 4-tread, mind.
Yeah, but
that's a serious
you
one.
could get one of them for like 20 quid then, B&Q.
He's a pensioner, mate.
You've got plenty of money. You're on the podcasts.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you want a bit of my podcast money, do you, Dad, to pay for your fucking step ladder? Should have thought about that when you walked out on us.
But yeah, I love anyone that defends themselves in court. You know what court should do? Court should advertise when someone's going to be defending themselves, so we can all go along and have a look.
Down there. Take our packed lunches and our flasks, rubbing our hands together up in the cheap seats.
Sit with our arms folded. Yeah. Come on, then, let's have it.
Go on, my son.
You fucking idiot. Well, this podcast is going exactly as I expected it would. Back to Roy Keane.
This is it.
Yeah, he repeatedly wonders why he had a lawyer for the Alfinger Haaland thing. I was travelling from Manchester, and he did the voice there. I was travelling from Manchester in a car with a lawyer and a QC. That didn't feel right. It was quiet in the car. I didn't really know them. There was no positive energy. No, we'll fight this, because he wanted to go into this like it was a football match. He wanted to go into like all guns blazing.
Yeah.
It was all about damage limitation. It was a day at the office for them, but it was a lot more than that for me. I knew I was going to lose. And he thinks he should have just gone in and just took the punishment. And, then here we go a bit further on. The FA had a murder lawyer. Again, more references to murder and killing.
He's trying to imply, in his head, he's like one of those guys who, you meet a lot of guys who pretend in their minds that they're sort of either in the intelligence services or the special forces. They're military men.
Yeah.
And they kind of keep making references and using the terminology of the armed forces. And Roy Keane's like that, but about murderers. I think he loves the idea of murderers.
Yeah.
And sort of sees himself as in a way kind of like
he's
one.
like one, but in a footballing sense where you're not allowed to murder.
It's like he said,
but he's the closest you get.
They couldn't find a lawyer who was good enough to take me on, who was from a Spartan background, so they had to get a murder lawyer.
Sporting lawyer.
Usually they'd have a lawyer who's like a sports lawyer, but because it was me, they had to get a murder lawyer, who were the toughest type. But they said, it's Roy Keane, we have to get a murder lawyer.
He says the FA had a murder lawyer, a big shot up from London, Jim Sturman. He was absolutely brilliant. He had me on toast. Jesus, for a tackle. He was a big Spurs fan, he told me, in the toilets before the hearing. I was at the urinal beside him. We were talking as two men in a toilet do. Do they?
They fucking don't.
Two men.
Big football fan, are you? See, you got a nice cock on you there. Yeah? Nice.
Solid stream you got there. What's your game then? Who are you?
You're trimming your pubes, I see. What the fuck's up with that? Just let them grow naturally. You fucking idiot. What's that, a London thing, is it?
You want to see
fucking
mine?
Do all your murder lawyer buddies trim their fucking pubes?
You want to see mine? It looks like Saddam Hussein down there when he came out the spider hole. Have you got a spider hole? I got myself a spider hole in the west coast of Ireland.
What, you're not taking that away from me.
I'm not telling you where it is. And then he has a dig at Haaland. He says Haaland finished the game and played 4 days later for Norway. A couple of years later he tried to claim that he'd had to retire because of the tackle. He was going to sue me. It was a bad tackle, but he was still able to play 4 days later. And therefore I was the winner.
This is it! This is it!
The second bit, which is quite notable in this, is about the fight that he had with Peter Schmeichel when he was at Manchester United.
This is a great story. This is great.
There'd been a little bit of tension between us over the years for football reasons. Peter would come out shouting at players, and I felt sometimes that he was playing up to the crowd. Look at me! He was probably also doing it for his concentration levels, keeping himself on his toes. But I felt he did it too often, as if he was telling the crowd, look at what I have to deal with. I wouldn't say we disliked each other, but we weren't best buddies either.
he said, "I've had enough of you." A drink had been taken at this point. It was in a hotel somewhere. He said, "I've had enough of you. It's time we sorted this out." So I said, "Okay."
Okay then.
And we had a fight. It felt like 10 minutes. There was a lot of noise. Peter's a big lad.
The way he describes it, and I don't say this lightly, like, you've seen Django Unchained, right?
Yeah.
You know, there's that. I mean, it's one of the most grotesque scenes in cinema history, where like Leonardo DiCaprio's character is just like making these two fellas fight to the death in front of him. It goes on for ages, and that is how I imagine.
That's exactly what it was.
Like Roy Keane and Peter Schmeichel, like two mandingos.
It felt like 10 minutes, but it was actually 20. And the worst bit about it was that they woke Bobby Charlton up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and what's he say? He's got a complaint about Bobby Charlton, hasn't he?
It says they'd woken Bobby Charlton up. The next morning, Fergie gets him into his office and all this sort of thing, and he says, "You even woke Bobby Charlton up. He came out of his hotel room and had a look."
Yeah.
And but what was it? It was
he said something like, Bobby Charlton could have, if he didn't like it, Bobby Charlton could have split us up.
Yeah, that was it. He says Peter took responsibility. I admired him for it, but Sir Bobby could have tried to break it up.
Yeah.
Jalapeño.
Nicky Butt was the referee of the fight.
Yeah, that's really funny
and
as well.
Nicky Butt got a new nickname afterwards, Mills Lane.
Why?
Mills Lane's a famous boxing referee, apparently.
Right. I didn't know that.
Yeah, but that's what they called him afterwards. Anyway, Peter had grabbed me.
I wonder how he reffed it. Like, what were the rules? Who set the boundaries?
I don't know. But he says, anyway, Peter had grabbed me. I'd headbutted him. We'd been fighting for ages. That doesn't sound like that's in the rules, does it? Nicky Butt's not much of a boxing referee.
I don't know how much Ricky Butt could have really done. When you've got two men like Schmeichel and Keane going at each other, it's like, how can you... I mean, Nicky Butt is no shrinking violet, but how can you really make any fucking impact?
You can't get in between them, can you?
Unless he was like a judge. Like,
right.
You know, he got to say, if there's a points victory, it was Butt who got to say it.
Can you imagine Bobby Charlton in his pyjamas coming out of his hotel room?
Actually, yeah.
Oh, I wonder if he wears a nightshirt like Wee Willie Winky.
I think he wears Manchester United pyjamas.
But can you imagine Bobby Charlton coming out, staggering out, aged 73 or something?
We're holding a candle on one of those little candle holders.
What's this all about, lads?
Lads. What's going on here, like?
Nicky, what's going on here? What are they doing?
Hey, you know, when we were playing for Sir Ralph in 1966, I didn't always see eye to eye with Gordon Banks, but you didn't see us fighting like this while Martin Peters presided over it all.
And then, of course, Gordon lost an eye later on, and I had the last laugh.
I won't tell you how it happened, but let's just say it wasn't quite the accident he suggested in the past.
Anyway, carry on. I'm off back to bed.
I'm back to my bed now. Early start, lads.
Early start. There's people need blinding.
Bobby Charlton there. Rather more a sinister figure than you may have been led to believe over the years.
Not the ambassador.
The Geordie blinder.
Not actually the ambassador of Manchester United that goes around the world watching them play in European competitions, but he's actually a spy.
Goes around the world tricking
people.
little African kids into being Man U fans. That's his fucking job.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Fucking and blinding them if they don't comply.
He walks into a village in the middle of fucking nowhere in Tanzania, and he gathers around the village elders and he goes, "Some of you might know me, some of you won't. My name's Bobby Charlton. I'm here to convert all of the children in this village to Manchester United fans. I brought these shirts and these fellas here are going to dig you a well like."
The shirts are from 15 years ago, but you don't know that because you're stupid.
You're stupid Africans. Now, listen, I don't know how to put this. I'm just going to come right out and say it to you. Unless your kids all agree to support Manchester United forever, I'm going to blind each and every one of them. The bloke's like, what the? This is mad. Who is this man? This is awful.
He looks like he means it, though. I'm not going to second guess him.
Don't for one moment think that I am joking. I'll do it. I'll do it with this squirty bottle of industrial ammonia I've brought with me. I did it to Gordon Banks. I've done it to plenty of others. And I would do it to every last child in this village without thinking twice.
Have you heard of Peter Sutcliffe? Better known as the Yorkshire Ripper. Now, a few years ago, a story came out that said he'd been blinded in prison by another inmate with the end of a toothbrush. Now, that's not what happened. I was granted access into the prison where Peter Sutcliffe was locked up, and I went at him with me canister of ammonia that I've got here.
As a knight of the realm, I am allowed access to any prison facility I like. That's just one of the benefits you get.
Yes, and I went in there while he was asleep and I blinded him. No, you can take that as truth or you can take that as a lie. That's up to you. All I'm saying is you look at them pile of shirts there and decide what you want. You want to go around wearing one of them shirts, or
do you want a blind kiddie?
Do you want to be blinded for the rest of your life? It's up to you.
Do you want your weans blind so they'd never be able to look at their mothers' faces again? And that is how United have built themselves into the world. And it's not just Africa. They do it in Southeast Asia.
It's all around the world, isn't it?
He's even done it in Australia. And that's why wherever you go, you see him in United shirts.
Global domination, isn't it? Yeah. It's worked, so, hats off to them.
Naughty, naughty.
Just a little squirt in the eye.
Squirty. Hey, remember what Uncle Bobby says? Naughty, naughty, squirty, squirty. Let's get back to Roy Keane.
Yeah.
This is it!
So moving on, he talks about the kind of calibre of player that comes to Manchester United, and they're not really emotionally equipped to deal with the rigours of Manchester weather and all that sort of thing. He says, if they're used to going for a cappuccino at 10:30 at night, sitting on a balcony somewhere, and all of a sudden it's dark at 4:30 and it's fucking freezing, that is going to change them. I know, because they told me. Fabien Barthez and Laurent Blanc used to smoke together in the toilets at half time. They were French. They smoked. If it had been a couple of Irish lads, I'd have been shouting at them, "You dirty bastards, get out!" So he has got a lot of time.
Dirty bastards.
You dirty wee bastards. He's got a lot of time for the cultural differences between
he's a cosmopolitan man.
France and Ireland. Yeah, he is. He is. That's a nice bit. And then there's a bit as well where he's talking about Arsenal. Arsenal were good, he says. Arsene Wenger was reinventing the game, apparently.
Yeah.
His tongue very firmly in his cheek. And then he says, sugar lumps at half time.
That's all he says, doesn't he?
Yeah.
It's fucking funny.
Sugar lumps, carrot juice, a wee wank at half time. To reinvigorate them before they go out for the second half. And why not? Meanwhile, in our dressing room, we got the French lads smoking in the bogs. You just can't compete with that, can you?
He gets on to Rio and the failed drugs test, and he wasn't happy about that. This was Manchester United, so it became a big story. I wondered at the time why they didn't just follow Rio, go to his house that afternoon, the drug testers. But then, from the doctor's point of view, you treat people like mature adults. You tell a man to go up for a drugs test and you expect him to do that. In any other workplace, it would have happened. We can give footballers the benefit of the doubt. They're footballers. They live in a bubble. They're a bit out there. But we also have to go, fucking hell, just do the drugs test.
Oh, God.
He claims after... I don't think I was annoyed at the time, and I don't think the other players were either. But ultimately, the team did suffer. I didn't look at Rio and think that he'd been up to no good, or that he was a hidden reason, or that there was a hidden reason for what occurred. I think he genuinely forgot. We all paid the price. He was a very good player, and we
all
missed
paid the
him.
price. There it is. There's the line.
Yeah.
There's always a line that says "you cunt," and there it is. We all paid the price.
Yeah.
And he talks about the class of '92 and about Paul Scholes especially. He says, I don't fall for the boy next door image. He doesn't really respect anybody, does he?
No one.
No one at all, apart from himself. He says, I still don't fall for the boy next door image of Scholes, or that he's dead humble. He has more of an edge to him. Everyone thinks he lives in a council flat.
No, we don't.
The class of 92, all good players, but their role at the club has become exaggerated. Class of 92 seems to have grown its own legs. It has become a brand. It's not as if they were a team away from the team, and they're not shy of plugging into it, but we all had the same aims. We all had the hunger. So basically, he despises Beckham, Scholes, Butt, Giggs.
It's so amazing.
The Neville brothers, the class of 92.
He thinks they're a bunch of bullshitting wankers.
Yeah.
Who have tried to take too much credit for something that they all achieved together as a team. He was the leader of the team. So he was their captain and their inspiration, right? And they must have all respected him, because how could the team have done so well during those years if they didn't respect their captain? But he secretly, all along the way, thought they're just a bunch of wankers, all of them.
Look at you, the class of 92. Going round with your class of 92 mugs, drinking out your mugs.
What the fuck do you mean 92? Do you know what? I don't even fucking remember what year I was fucking born. Much less which year I fucking got into the first team. I'm too busy trying to win fucking matches and keep hold of these wee title belts right here.
No, I tell you what, I do remember where I was in 92. I was over in Nottingham, and Mr. Brian Clough was punching me in the face every fucking morning. Just for turning up. That's where I was. Where were you?
And you don't hear me going round saying that I'm the class of fucking 92. I was living in 92 just like the rest of you cunts.
What else was going on in 92? Culture beat, Mr. Vane, that's what. That was my 1992. I don't know what you were all up to, but I was doing the disco, dancing the culture beat.
Fucking Gabrielle, dreams can come true. Well, this is a fucking nightmare. Her with her fucking eye patch. You know how she got that fucking eye patch too, don't you?
Bobby
Sir Bobby Charlton. Because the song drove us all up the fucking wall, so we had to do something about
With
it.
the sense of Bobby over.
That was my 92. I called him up. I said to Bobby, you got to do something about this daft cow.
I don't even play for Manchester United, but I've heard about your work and you got to do
It's
something.
Roy Keane here from Nottingham Forest. I've got a wee job for you. Yeah, that's right, freelance. I heard you did freelance work. This is it.
Yeah, there's another good story where Wayne Rooney is just signed for United in 2004, whenever it was, and Kane's trying to watch the rugby league in a hotel, and he goes off to the toilet or something, and he comes back and the rugby league's been turned over, and he says, I said, where's the remote control? Rooney said, I don't know. I said, you fucking do. I didn't exactly storm out, because he doesn't storm out, does he? He just seethes and leaves. I didn't exactly storm out, but I couldn't be bothered. I couldn't be bothered trying to get the remote control back, so I decided I'd watch the rest of the match up in my room. I came down the next morning for the pre-match meal, and obviously I'm very good at letting things go.
Yeah.
And Wayne was brave enough to come up to me. Did you ever find the remote control, Roy? I think I told him to go fuck himself.
Go fuck yourself, Rooney.
It was the only disagreement I ever had with him. I think he later claimed in one of his books, brackets, he has a deal to write 10. There it is. There's the line. There's the line. There's always a line about someone to undermine them. He later claimed in one of his books he has a deal to write 10. That I sent a security man to his room to get the remote control, but that's bullshit. Just setting the record straight there.
This is it.
He did a detox one summer.
Oh, yeah.
He went to it was a clinic in Italy or something like that.
Yeah, it was Ryan Giggs got him to go over
Yeah,
there.
because Giggs is into yoga and all that shit, isn't he? So he went and he cut out red meat. He was eating a lot of fish.
Yeah.
And there's actually a picture of him in the book about that time, and he says that he looks gaunt. And he does. He looks like there's nothing on him.
Yeah.
It was shocking. So he was due to play Arsenal, but he couldn't get out of bed. The doctor came round and they did some tests, and he had the doctor said, what have you done? And he says, I've cut out meat altogether. The doctor did some blood tests. I missed the Arsenal game. I was in bed for 3 or 4 days. When the test results came back, my iron levels were gone. I'd no iron in my system. I got right, Keane? I have to have iron in me. What's the point otherwise?
I was born with more fucking iron than the average human being. When I was a wee baby, I came out, they said he's got iron spilling out of every fucking orifice.
He's not crawling, he's clanking. Can you hear him crawling along there? All the iron.
He's more fucking iron than man.
Keep him away from them magnets.
Now it's all fucking gone, and it's fucking Ryan's fault.
I assumed I'd just be filled with iron forever and ever. I stopped eating meat just to get the iron down a little bit because there's too much. It's keeping me awake at nights. I wake up and I'm clanking. I turn over in bed and I'm clanking.
I got rust all around my fucking balls when it rains.
That time I trimmed my pubes back, I realised it was all rusty underneath. I got to get back on the red meat.
My pubes aren't like normal pubes. It's like a fucking scourer that you use, a pan brush.
So he packed in meat for a couple of months, but soon got over that. There's a nice little bit where, about, again, it's a dig at the class of 92 and about the number 7. The manager pulled me into his office and told me that he wanted me to wear the number 7. I said, no, I'm not bothered. And he said, I know Bex will fucking want it and I don't want him to have it. Power play. And he says himself, the little power battles. He says, I've had 16 since I signed for the club. I was comfortable with 16. I think it might have kept me on my toes being outside the 1 to 11. I didn't think I was a number 7. I said, give it to Bex. Bex got it and it suited him. And Cantona. Ronaldo had it after Bex.
Gabriel Heinze was another good guy. He was a nasty fucker. Nasty in training. I picked up an injury one day. A lot of it was my own fault. It was a Friday. We were playing Spurs the next day, and we'd always have light training day before a home game, but it got a bit nasty, and it ended up with myself and Gabby having a few tackles on each other. He kneed me on the side of my leg, and being the hero that I am, I kept my mouth shut. I didn't want to go in for treatment, but I was in agony.
Being the hero that I am, as he said that.
Yeah.
Oh, the next interesting bit is, of course, the one we've covered in a previous episode, which is the Portuguese Villa thing. And he talks about in case you haven't heard it, it's the Villa in Portugal that was chosen by Carlos Queiroz. And Keane's unhappy with it because it's not big enough for him, because his family's over, his 5 kids are over. And he talks about the woman who showed them around the villa. He says, she understood what I meant, I think. She told me it hadn't been designed for families. She even pointed out the glass tables, the sharp corners. They probably have to go through that routine for insurance reasons. The place just wasn't suitable. My wife is very placid, and even she was saying, we can't stay here, it's just not designed for kids.
What does that mean? Lots of sharp edges, probably.
Glass tables, corners, spikes.
What's these fucking spikes doing here? I don't mind a spike myself, don't get me wrong. If it's just me on my own or I'm with the missus, I love a spike.
Keeps me on my toes.
Keeps you on my toes. You never know when you might need a good fucking spike. But the kiddies, they'll be running into these spikes all over the place. I can't have it.
These mouth traps you've got in the fridge. No, I don't mind that.
I like the idea of that, but the kiddies will go in there for the club biscuits, and the next thing you know, they lose their fucking fingers. Yeah, that's right, I keep the club biscuits in the fucking fridge. 'Cause it is Portugal. It's fucking 35 degrees outside.
He says, the woman brought me to look at the second villa. My wife was waiting down at the first place with the kids. The second place was nicer, but in the meantime I'd rung the people we just hired the previous villa from, where we'd been staying the week before, and asked if we could stay there for another week. It was literally down the road from the training camp, 5 minutes in the car. Carlos Queiroz, United's assistant manager, arrived while I was at the second villa. Carlos is Portuguese. I think he was born in Mozambique. There it is. There's the line. There's always a line designed to undermine somebody, and there it is again. Carlos is Portuguese. I think he was born in Mozambique. He's not proper Portuguese,
That's what I fucking heard anyway.
He says he's Portuguese, but he's not proper Portuguese.
No one's ever seen his birth certificate. I asked for it on several occasions, and he kept fobbing me off.
He's like that Barack Obama. He was born in Mozambique as well. He says, Carlos is Portuguese. I think he was born in Mozambique. And there was some sort of a connection with the resort people.
Yeah.
Insinuating all kinds of shenanigans. He had organised the camp for the team.
His brother-in-law ran the resort.
Carlos was getting a backhand and it was obvious.
A lot of them are like kind of Roger the Dodger. A lot of these footballers are like characters from the Beano, where they've all got little side scams. They're earning like hundreds of thousands of pounds a week, but they've all got little side scams to make a few quid here, a few quid there, or get like some free football boots or something.
I think it just keeps them amused, stops them getting bored. It's like when John Terry was showing people around the Chelsea training ground, and he was trousering money for that, wasn't he, a few years ago?
Yeah, there was. I heard a story about John Terry.
Are you sure? Is it that one?
No, not that one. No,
Okay.
it's just that there was a barber's in like near where he lived, where he went to get his hair cut quite regularly. And one day they said, "Do you mind if we put a picture of you in the window to say that you're a customer?" Or we put one on the wall saying customer. It's like a little budget barbershop. And he went, "I'll have to have a think about that."
Yeah,
I went, okay, it's no big
about
deal.
the money.
Then he's like a few days later, the barbershop hear from his agent, who say, Mr. Terry has considered your offer.
He's done some sums.
And he will expect free haircuts for him and his entire family for life. They went, nah, you're all right.
You cunt.
Jalapeño.
Another bit about the pre-season as well. This is quite interesting. He says, I carried on training. We trained for the week and it was brilliant. The mix. Training, then the afternoon spent with the families was perfect. Pre-season is about training, recovery and bonding. Recovery just means relaxing after you've trained. Sitting, maybe watching TV, or if you're in a place like the Algarve, sitting by the pool. There's a discipline to that. Which I wasn't very good at, actually resting. Mm-hmm. Roy Keane is unable to apply himself to the discipline of relaxing and being at rest. He's constantly on the go, having to be doing something. So having my family there was great and the facilities were fantastic. There's a discipline to resting. Fucking hell.
Yeah, he talks a lot about he talks a lot about his inability to relax and feel content, which on a serious note, you do sort of feel for him. I mean, we all kind of know that feeling, and Roy Keane's but he's very open in this book about like his inner demons, because he says all this mad shit, and then once in a while he pauses for reflection and says, yeah, basically my problem is I can't ever feel relaxed. Yeah. And you think, fucking hell, what a curse.
He's incredibly driven, but that's what made him the player he was. Yeah. But it's a blessing and a curse, isn't it?
It is.
But it just means that there's a discipline to sit by
I think
a pool.
It's nicer to be born a lazy cunt.
Yeah, definitely.
Probably.
Yeah.
But if you're born like Roy Keane, you're never satisfied.
You imagine he sits down by the pool, he gets a book out or something, or a soft drink, or a club biscuit.
Some days he's just going to fuck off
and
work,
he sits there for like 90 seconds.
Do a whole packet of club biscuits, the orange ones, and just watch Crown Court reruns on YouTube all day.
Like we do.
Stopping only once in a while for a wank.
He's never going to be like us. He's never going to be as good as us. Right, I reckon that's about it for part one of our Roy Keane
Odyssey.
Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
Ta-da.